You guys know this, so you guys, you're not.
I know.
Okay, folks, we're getting ready to start. I'd like to call the ladies. Thank you. Call the city council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Cooper,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Here.
Councilmember Allen,
Here.
Councilmember Carrington,
Here.
Councilmember Collins,
Here.
Councilmember Graham,
Here.
Councilmember Mosier.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And John, I'm going to ask you to lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Back to the council. What is the wishes of the council on approval of the agenda, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any opposition? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, I
Yeah.
believe you needed to add
Oh, I'm sorry.
the Palmer Chamber of Commerce behind the Glen Highway update for them to give a report.
That's the only one?
That's the
Yeah,
only one.
my apologies. We're going to add the Palmer Chamber to item, wherever it is,
I was gonna say, I have too many papers in front of me now.
under E. So it'll be E6. Thank you. Madam Clerk,
Do you want me to take a roll call vote?
please.
So this is to approve the agenda as amended. Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Allen,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved.
Thank you. Moving on, we're going to move to a proclamation for our wonderful Palmer High School girls soccer team that ended up taking state. You can do this, John? Yeah. So please, come on, everybody, pile up, come on forward. Okay, is that good? All right, it's a proclamation honoring the Palmer High School girls soccer team as the 2026 Division II state champions. The Palmer High School girls soccer team demonstrated exceptional athletic skill, determination, teamwork, and sportsmanship through the 2026 season. Through hard work, dedication, and perseverance, the Palmer Moose girls soccer team defeated the Kenai Cardinals 3-1 and earned the title of 2026 Alaska School Activities Association Division II Girls Soccer State Champion for the first time in program history. Bringing pride and distinction to the city of Palmer and the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. And coaches Cesar Marcialis, and Stephanie Gallego. Well, I should know that with Y's, right? Support staff, families, volunteers, and managers, Audrey Hallberg and Alexis Gose. Committed countless hours to achieving excellence both on and off the field. These outstanding young women have represented Palmer High School and the city of Palmer with integrity, respect, leadership, and a commitment to academic and athletic achievement, exemplifying the positive impact of interscholastic activities, athletics, in developing future leaders and strengthening community pride. Therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Jim Cooper, Mayor of the City of Palmer, on behalf of the City Council and the entire community, do hereby congratulate the 2026 Palmer High School girls soccer team on their historic state championship win and commend them for their sportsmanship, determination, and pride in representing Palmer. Be further proclaimed that May 30th, sorry, we're a little late, shall be recognized as Palmer Moose Soccer State Champions Day in the City of Palmer, and all residents are encouraged to join in celebrating this remarkable team and their unforgettable season. So I'm going to call out names, and then I was going to have the coach do this, but you guys let us know what position you played. So it's Kaylin Miller. What? So you're like left half, right half. What? Just all. Okay. Quincy Cornell. Lila Pettit, striker, scorer, all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, your mom posts all that stuff on her Facebook page, right? Kale Buse. Cool. Olive Ibarra. Ibarra.
She's a midfielder. She's not here.
Okay.
Daya Singh.
Daya Singh.
She was center back. She's
Center back. Charlotte Marcialis. So coach's daughter. What is it? Oh yeah, cool. There you go. I should have known that one. And those are the ones I just listed are 10th graders. So Casey Frank, Kaylee Gallego, Kylie Karinko. Man, I'm going to butcher these names big time.
Right wing.
So Kylie Gose, Shyla Phillips, Mackenzie LaFave Wood, Charlotte Periched, Riley Gangwer, Alana O'Rourke.
She's not here.
Okay.
She was right back.
And is it Aylin? Aylin Serenka. Hey. Greta Campfield. Jada Santana Becker. Man, a lot of midfielders here, wasn't it? Isabel Rennie. Kaylee Paulson.
She's in Europe. She's a midfielder.
In Europe. Cool. Emily Chrisman.
She was our backup goalie.
And did I miss anybody? Cool. Congratulations again. And we have a proclamation for each one of you. Yeah, you can. Thanks, ladies. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Back to the council. Now, there's a community development golf course volunteer recognition. And I have four folks. I don't know if they're all here. So Ailish, please. Zach Winter, he's not here, okay. Penny and Brian. So, as you know, we had to do a lot of work. We had to do a lot of work to get the golf course going. And I don't know if you've been down there, but the clubhouse and the snack shack are redone, repainted, and used all kinds of stuff that was done. And so this is a certificate of appreciation for Ailish in recognition of outstanding contributions above and beyond expectations in preparing the Palmer Municipal Golf Course. Brian, grateful recognition of your exceptional volunteer service and dedication in preparing the Palmer Municipal Golf Course, clubhouse and snack shack. And Penny, same stuff, right? Grateful recognition of extraordinary volunteer service and dedication in preparing the Palmer Municipal Golf Course, clubhouse and snack shack. These folks spent literally hundreds of hours painting, cleaning, rearranging the golf course to get it all ready for the open season. And, you know, I'm extremely happy and proud. Thank you for doing this. So, you want me to come out there?
Thank you.
Now we have a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Proclamation recognizing Juneteenth. Whereas Juneteenth commemorates June 19, 1865, the day when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the freedom of enslaved African Americans, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. And whereas Juneteenth is recognized as the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States, and serves as an opportunity to reflect upon our nation's history, the pursuit of liberty, and the continuing work of advancing equality and opportunity for all. Whereas Juneteenth, National Independence Day, was established as a federal holiday in 2021, recognizing the significance of this historic event to the story of the United States. Whereas the City of Palmer values diversity, inclusion, mutual respect, and civic engagement, and recognizes the contributions of Black Americans whose perseverance, leadership, innovation, and service have strengthened our communities and our nation. And whereas Juneteenth provides an opportunity for residents to learn about our shared history, celebrate freedom, honor resilience, and foster understanding among all members of our community. Now, therefore, by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Palmer, Alaska, on behalf of Palmer City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth in the City of Palmer, and encourage all residents to recognize and commemorate this day through reflection, education, service, and community engagement while reaffirming our commitment to liberty, equality, and justice for all.
Mr. Allen, Andre, would you come up and would you present that proclamation to him, please? To the president of the chamber of the Juneteenth. Another proclamation recognizing U.S. Army's birthday.
Did we have anyone that served in the Army? Come on up. So, thank you.
I got drafted once, so it's enough.
Okay, proclamation recognizing the birthday of the United States Army. Whereas on June 14th, 1775, the Continental Congress established the United States Army, making it the nation's oldest military service and the foundation of America's defense. And whereas the United States Army has faithfully served our nation for more than 250 years, defending the Constitution, preserving liberty, and protecting the security of the United States and its citizens. And whereas generations of soldiers have answered the call to duty with courage, honor, selfless service, and sacrifice during the times of war, peace, national emergency, and humanitarian assistance. And whereas the city of Palmer is home to veterans, active duty service members, reservists, National Guard members, military families, and civilian employees whose contributions strengthen our community and exemplify a spirit of service. And whereas the United States Army enduring motto, "This will defend," reflects its steadfast commitment to protecting the freedoms and values cherished by all Americans. Now, therefore, by the Mayor and the City Council of City of Palmer, Alaska, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2026 as the United States Army birthday in the City of Palmer, and encourage all residents to join in recognizing and honoring the soldiers, veterans, families, and civilians whose dedication, service, and sacrifice have contributed to the strength and security of our nation. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Palmer to be affixed on the 9th day of June, 2026, Jim Cooper and Benji Johnson. So here you go.
Thank you for your service. We're back. Glen Highway construction update. I guess do we have Morgan, Amy, and Kristen?
You got us.
Come on.
Okay. Did you guys have the PowerPoint?
I have the,
Okay.
I have the Adobe version of it.
Oh, that's perfect. Just so there's visuals, and then is the Zoom going?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You're not, I'm not doing this alone. Just kidding. Perfect. All right. Okay. Is this better? Oh, there's Will. All right, hi, good evening. Thank you all for letting us be here today. We're here to present to you the Glen Highway Arctic Avenue from Palmer Fishhook. This is kind of a capacity and safety improvement project. DOT is putting this forward. I'm Christina Bush. I am your project manager for DOT. With me is Kristen and Will from HDR. They are our consultants for the design team. And we're kind of here to give you a scope and schedule update on what the project is, and then to kind of go over some concepts that we're thinking about here at the early stages of the project and get some feedback on it. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so this presentation was kind of adapted from our open house last week. If you want to go to the next slide and then the next slide again. So here's the project that we're kind of talking about The full name is Glen Highway Arctic Avenue to Palmer Fish Hook Road, Safety and Capacity Improvements. So it's about just under 2 miles right here in the heart of Palmer from Bogard Arctic intersection up past Palmer Fish Hook along the Glen Highway. Through this area, there's lots of constraints from the built environment, also to the topography of the highway through here. We all know about Bailey Hill and some of the constraints there. We can go to the next slide. So kind of the why of this project. The population in the Mat-Su Valley is growing. This section of the Glen Highway sees about 10,000 vehicles per day through it. Through reviews of plans for the city, borough area, there's identified need for improved pedestrian facilities in this area as well. And then the road widening to the south on the Glen Highway has kind of created this as a bottleneck for the area. So this is kind of the continuation of those improvements along the Glen Highway. And it's really aimed at adding safety, capacity, and mobility for vehicles and non-motorized users as well. All right, next slide. All right, so a little bit of history on the project and kind of what we've done and where we're at right now. So we've started to collect information and feedback from public and agencies. So this is a part of that outreach. We've done some survey in the area. We've done some cultural resources, the ground as well as buildings in the area, and looked at that. We've done some tribal coordination. We've done a traffic model and traffic analysis looking at what the future volumes would be, because we're not building for today's volumes, we're building for future volumes. And with that, we also did a speed limit evaluation. And we'll kind of talk about some of the improvements that we're recommending and looking at in the corridor. So for this project, we are looking at adding a lane to the Glen Highway, so looking at a 4-lane divided highway. We'll kind of get more into the details of some of the design and some of the things that we're looking at and some of those potential design variants. All right, next one. So we're kind of at this draft purpose and needs stage. So we're looking at what is the environmental document going to recommend for the preferred alternative. Next slide. And then, so the proposed purpose statement is really focused around kind of 2 things. That's traveler mobility and reliability, and safety through access management. So there's quite a few access points along the highway there. Drivers are entering and exiting the highway, and the lack of access management can lead to crashes and conflicts between vehicles. And we also want to look at mobility and reliability. So we're looking at traffic projections 25 years ahead, and we always look at a no build of what it would be if we don't do anything as well, but trying to improve travel through the area. Go ahead and hit that next slide. Oh, that's okay, you're good. So I'm going to pass it to Will to kind of talk about some of what we've looked at, what the traffic analysis says, and some of the design elements that we're looking at throughout the corridor.
Thanks, Kristen. Can everyone hear me okay? Just maybe someone throw a thumbs up.
We can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. So to date, what we've completed, we completed a traffic analysis back in October of 2025. This was looking at existing conditions, how it functions today, as well as using those projected traffic volumes and growth rates to determine how we would anticipate the Glen Highway to function if we didn't look for any improvements. What we got out of that analysis was we recognized that today's facility as a 3-lane facility does not provide sufficient capacity. And so what the recommendation is out of that traffic analysis is that the Glen Highway should be widened to a 4-lane facility. We did look at several different options before saying, okay, let's just widen. We did the no build, which essentially is a 2 northbound, 1 southbound lane. We were also curious if we analyzed and actually provided 2 southbound lanes and 1 northbound lane just based on the volumes, if that would actually provide sufficient capacity, and it would not. And so really what we came down to was the need for capacity is driving the need for widening to 4 lanes. Next slide, please. So I'll go over some of the opportunities we see to address the purpose and need and improve safety and mobility through the corridor. This first one shows different options that we have to provide that 4-lane facility. And each one of these serves different purpose and could be utilized at different locations along the corridor. So the first two options are a median divided highway. And so the first option is the grass vegetated median, and the other one is a raised curb median. Both of these divided highways allow for left turn pockets to be developed and provided where turning access is provided. And that is really important both for safety and mobility because it removes the conflict of left turning vehicles blocking a through lane. And so anywhere where we have left turning vehicles, we'll be recommending a dedicated left turn lane. The other option for the 4-lane is a median barrier to provide that separation between northbound and southbound. This option is really looked at where we can reduce the footprint to mitigate some of the right-of-way or environmental impacts while still providing that safety enhancement by separating the opposing travel lanes. Next slide, please. And so additionally to just adding capacity, we're looking at providing additional capacity and safety at the intersections themselves. And so this slide right here shows the 3 different intersection concepts for Palmer Fishhook. One is a roundabout. The other one is a standardized signalized intersection, just a typical intersection. And the other one is more of an innovative approach to a signal T intersection, which is a continuous green T. All of these provide sufficient capacity for the future volumes that are projected, while also enhancing safety through different enhancements. I will note that the continuous green T and the roundabout, both of those concepts provide a northbound bypass lane, meaning that the northbound movement will never have to stop going through the intersection, and only the turning vehicles would be stopping for both of those concepts. Next slide, please. As Krista mentioned, there's a need for improvement for non-motorized mode. And so what we're proposing is a non-motorized pathway either on the adjacent to the northbound or the southbound travel lanes. We are looking for feedback from the community on which is preferred for access, as well as considerations for topography, just for origin destination access, and locations for enhanced crossings. Next slide, please. So we evaluated and looked at the speed today. As you're well aware, the Glen Highway through this portion goes from 45 miles an hour, and then it picks up to 55 miles an hour. We also recognize that due to the topography and the gradient of the road, especially in the southbound direction, sometimes those speeds become a little bit excessive and exceed the posted speed limit just due to the gradient. And so we are considering reducing that speed limit down to 45 miles an hour south of Palmer Fishhook, looking to calm traffic as it enters the community. Next slide, please. As Krista mentioned, access management is a way to improve safety along a corridor. And so we're considering and looking at options that reduce the number of access points on the Glen Highway. And so what you see on the screen is one concept that would close Caribou Avenue and Eagle Avenue and maintain access to and from the Glen from Dolphin Avenue. Really what spurred some of this concept of closing Eagle was the feedback we got from our first open house regarding just the number of not only crashes at that intersection, near misses at that intersection due to the southbound being the southbound left coming in too fast, and essentially overshooting that turn. Additionally, we recognize that the existing topography and gradient, as you're turning left off of Eagle onto the Glen Highway, there's some geometric challenges, some sight distance challenges for those turning movements. And so this concept is addressing the safety issues that we've identified. And again, this was part of the open house just the other day. Receiving feedback from the community because it really is this neighborhood in particular is the impact of these access points. Interesting enough, I kind of got a mixed bag of I don't like it, I do like it. Even how about just closing them all so people don't divert through our neighborhood to bypass the intersection. So we're still analyzing this and considering what it means to reduce these access points. Next slide, please. So in addition to the Palmer Fishhook intersection, we're looking at improving the capacity and some of the congestion issues that we see today at Bogart, Arctic, and the Glen Highway. In particular, really, it's just this east leg of it, so Arctic Avenue. Realizing that today there is congestion, there's a short left turn pocket that it often extends and starts blocking the through lane. Additionally, there is no dedicated right turn lane, and so anytime there's a pedestrian conflict, the right turn movement also blocks the through lane. And this does lead to not only congestion on Arctic Avenue, but it does lead to some of the diversion that we're seeing through the neighborhood. And so what we're recommending based on our traffic analysis to address this is to improve the capacity of the westbound left turn by adding an additional westbound left turn lane and separating the westbound right turn from the through movement by providing a dedicated right turn lane. Just based on the analysis for the future year, if we don't do anything here, it is over a quarter of a mile of queue that ends up occurring due to just this being over capacity. And with this improvement, we're seeing a significant reduction in queue, less than 480 feet. Really, it's that queue and that storage is being managed and does not exceed and extend past Alaska Street. So this is a significant improvement. And I should mention that it was in collaboration with the city of Palmer, who highly recommended that we look into this in more detail. One other thing about this one is to address the access management and safety issues at this intersection. There is a hot spot on Arctic Avenue between the Glen and Alaska Street, just due to the number of driveways and access points we have there. So we're recommending as a raised median to reduce the left turning traffic's ability to turn into those driveways. And with that would come some improvements to maintain access and improve access to the gas station on the north by utilizing the existing alley right away and upgrading that facility to handle additional traffic. And I believe I'll be turning it back over to Kristen.
Perfect. So one more slide. So we're still very early in the design development process. We're looking at gathering information, we're doing studies, we're analyzing different alternatives, looking at kind of different features and how they all come together for a project. And we'll continue to do that and continue to get information from the public and do coordination like this. This summer, we're going to continue to design and look at that preferred alternative. We're doing a right-of-way study to look at what the impacts would be to the community. We'll be doing a noise study as well to see what the potential future impacts to noise would be along the corridor. We've got a little bit of field survey. I think they've already done it, so you may have seen people out and about picking up additional areas of survey. And then it comes lots and lots and lots of design. So that's kind of where we are. We are looking at trying to do the draft EA by the end of the year. And then we'll do more and more and more. But again, thank you for having us. If you click 2 slides, if you do want to join our mailing list or go to the website, there's a QR code that you can do that on. And then I guess we'll open it to questions unless you have anything to add.
Yes, sir.
Just that if you wanted to view any of these materials, they are available on the website, as well as a place to comment on the website as well. So either available, and we are looking for comments. So if you think of something later after this, feel free to click on there and submit a comment.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you both for being here tonight. Thank you for your public hearing there on June 3rd. I guess more of a public information gathering, not really a hearing to hear all the issues. But you guys did a good job having workstations so people could talk individually with engineers and traffic control and different things. So I think it was well done, and I appreciate it. I'm curious. Risk it sound like the old man thinking everybody drives too fast, but how lengthy is the process to actually consider lowering speed limits even to 35 miles an hour until you get to Palmer Fish Hook? I mean, it's 1.75 miles, as you guys point out, which, is 3.5 minutes of your time if you're driving 35 miles an hour. And right now, as you guys all know, it's 45 from the jump at Three Bears and then turns into 55 up past Bailey Hill before you even get to like Cedar Hills and other places. So it just, as a person who's driven it way too many times and probably way too fast at sometimes, I just think, is it like a 5-year process in order to lower speed limits, or how does that process kind of work in public?
So there's a couple things to it. I mean, obviously there's always enforcement. Sorry. There's a couple things to it. Obviously there's always enforcement. So even if it is 45, you don't have to, people going 55. That's not necessarily you can design around always. But there is this process. It's not a 5-year process, but we do require, or we want to go through the process, because you shouldn't just be changing the speed. It kind of has to fit the situation. There are situations where if you reduced it too much, it could actually cause an adverse problem. So it's more to just go through the process.
We look at it from a traffic standpoint and engineering. What is the road? What are the conditions? And then we make a recommendation that does go to DOT's traffic and safety person. They review it, and then we do work with the community, APD or the troopers as well. So there are quite a few little check boxes that we go through before making that change. So enforcement is on board, the engineering is covered, as well as coordination with the agencies.
Yeah, another compounding factor to that is they're putting in a fire station on that road. And so.
Fire station is also part of the review, yeah.
Right, so that, to me, would automatically assume, my assumption would be the speed limit would be lowered at that point as well. But
Thank you. One more.
Deputy Moore, please.
So members of the public have pointed out that their comment towards the end of the project with the Matanuska River pushing onto the Glen Highway, kind of the erosion situation and the situation where, is this highway going to maintain the test of time, and is that erosion up from the railroad tracks to the highway, is it 10 feet a year? Is it 1 foot per 10 years, or what's happening? Second part of my question is, do you monitor the traffic flow of how much traffic turns off to Palmer Fish Hook versus continues on the Glen? Curious about, so kind of a twofold question there. Yeah, thank you. I don't get any more, so I just put 2 in there. Thanks.
So yeah, along the Glen, you could actually find several spots where the Matsu River is eroding away at the road. This is one of them from the sounds of it. The project is again at the early stages, and we have yet to do a lot of the drilling and material testing, which would be required to kind of look at that. He mentioned in the part of the bluffs, again, the project limits, because of what it's set with federal, we only have so far we can go. But within the limits and in that area, we would definitely be doing drilling and not be building something that would be unstable. So the intent is to, if it's there within the project, we'd be trying to deal with it. I understand if that continues beyond it, it would need to start with a project and move forward with it.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, there might be a future project that addresses that specifically too. Quite a few years ago, there was the milepost 49 that moved part of the Glen Highway away from that bluff a little while ago. And then you did have a second question. And
Traffic from Palmer Fish Hook versus
yes.
Glen.
So we go and do traffic counts and do count those. So if you look at the kind of intersection photos there, I don't know if we can go back, but there is quite a bit of traffic that comes from the Palmer Fish Hook and then comes onto the Glen with that southbound piece. So if you look, that's where like the 4-lane would change. So you'd have 1 lane for that southbound coming into the intersection and then 2 lanes southbound coming out of the intersection because of that additional traffic.
Your development.
To specifically give you numbers, it's about a 50-50 split. So about 50% of the traffic northbound in the PM turns left onto Palmer Fishhook, and 50%, roughly, it's not exact, but continues north. In the AM, it's the inverse. So 50% is coming southbound, and then 50% of the southbound traffic is turning right onto the Glen Highway from Palmer Fishhook.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. I've lived in Cedar Hill since 2003, so we've been, our community's been advocating for this for over 20 years. Really excited to see that it's getting traction and it's happening. First of all, I was going to kind of piggyback on what Councilman Alcantara said, because this issue of the changing from 45 to 55 has always perplexed me, because, you know, you're driving up in the left-hand lane because you have to turn in your neighborhood. It's the only way to get in your neighborhood. And everyone gets up to speed, and you just feel like you're going to get just slammed. I mean, that happens to me every day. That just happened to me 2 hours ago. I mean, like, and I can't believe that there hasn't been more accidents there. But it does seem to me that not starting the 55 until after you pass the city of Palmer, city limits, would make some sense. That seems like a pretty good first start. The other thing, I really was intrigued by the different options, but I must say I'm not the best at reading these plans like this. So is it the case that the bike path would come, I guess here's what I'm getting at. People aren't going to have to cross the Glen Highway coming out of Cedar Hills to be on the bike path, right?
That is an excellent question. So we haven't set which side the path is going to be on yet. So we are looking at that. There's a lot of arguments to be made for it to be on that side where Cedar Hills is, on the west side, because there isn't other options for connectivity. You know, on the other side with the neighborhood, there's Alaska Street, there's other streets that are like more walkable, so there is kind of another option. So we are looking at which side of the road it is. There are a lot of constraints, including, you know, the water tower, the new fire station. There's that large retaining wall there on Bailey Hill that we're also contending with. So how we're kind of threading the needle of the Glen Highway in this area is a little tricky, but we are that was one of the things that we wanted information on from the public at our public open house was, hey, is there a strong preference either way?
Okay, just a quick follow-up, if that's all right? Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So one of the other things we're looking at is it's not ideal to always cross, especially on a higher interstate like this, across the road like you're talking about.
Yeah.
We've been looking at overpasses and underpasses, and neither are ideal in the middle of this road. So preferably you wouldn't be crossing. I mean, we are looking at them as an option. If the east side ended up being really popular at the beginning and everybody wants it west at the end so it ties nicely to Palmer Fishhook, you would need to cross somewhere. And ideally you wouldn't do that at grade. You'd want to do it above or below. We know undercrosses aren't favorable for certain reasons. Overcrosses are, again, not as easy because of the grades going up and over, and let alone putting something across the Glen Highway again. So where these intersections come into play, a roundabout would be a place where you could potentially cross, but then you have the free through at that intersection, which would not be stopped. And so it almost wants to be on the west side by the time you hit the intersection.
Okay.
Based on looking at these designs that they kind of got. So, but that is still something we're kind of evaluating. If the public really was pushing back and really wanted that east side, we'd have to kind of give them more options.
And there is discussion, I'm sure you guys are aware, of a trail down Palmer Fishhook too, so tying that in.
That would come out the back of Cedar Hills, is that the idea with that?
No, I think it's right down Palmer Fishhook.
Okay.
All the way to them.
Okay. It does just sort of last question, but does the west side present a stickier easement issue because of the retainment wall and all that, the farm there? Is that a factor?
It's all a little sticky.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine.
Yeah, like there are challenges on either side of the highway.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Ms. Graham.
So I guess my question is regarding the Arctic Avenue improvements that you guys are suggesting. so there's going to be a new high school that's opening. We're going to have a lot of new drivers and a lot more drivers that are going through that intersection. I know Bogard is a very nice thoroughfare if you want to avoid PWH, which is, a nightmare. But I see on here that you guys only have one lane going straight through, one lane coming back, and I'm sure that that's based on the studies you guys have done. Is there going to be enough time for you guys to do additional studies when that school opens to determine what that's going to look like during the school year? We're talking about backing up traffic. There are 3 schools that are going to be coming out of there that people are going to be hitting that intersection with, and new drivers.
Can I answer that a little bit? The MPO is looking at that, and DOT has another study from Alaska Street to the bridge. And so that's ongoing as well. So they are also looking at that section, knowing full well there's a high school going in there, and I've had a number of meetings with them, and there'll be one on the 25th as well.
And that's going to tie into this Alaska Street to the Glen Highway and Bogart as well, because
yeah, because DOT
it's
is
tight in there.
Yeah, I mean DOT is obviously part of that whole issue, right?
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I went to your open house as well, and there's a lot of good information there. I appreciate the preparation that went into that. And there are 2 questions I neglected to ask there. And so I'm particularly, the area I'm regularly navigating is that Eagle to Arctic. And so we've got, it's pretty boxed in with as far as Arctic often being maxed out, and then school pickup and drop off. Swanson and Sherrod kind of tying in the other side of that neighborhood. So one of the options you were looking at was to close the Eagle and Caribou and open Dolphin. And I realized I wasn't sure if that meant punching Dolphin all the way through to the schools, or that meant turning onto Dolphin, then making a left-hand turn over to Eagle and continuing on down to the schools. What's been looked at there?
We have not looked at what that would mean for that area yet. I would say right now we're looking at that would go down Dolphin to Alaska Street and then back over to Eagle. One of the positives, or one of the trade-offs that we're looking at with Eagle Avenue is, one of the big concerns that we've heard is Bailey Hill. It's really steep. How can we address that with this project? If you keep Eagle connected, it is kind of a pinch point where we cannot flatten the Glen Highway as much as if we were to push that down to Dolphin. So that's one of the other trade-offs, is as southbound traffic is coming into that turn pocket to turn on Dolphin, it'll be less steep through there. So that's one thing that we're looking at. Are there improvements needed down Dolphin for that connection to Alaska Street, then back over to Eagle to go to the schools? That all still needs to be worked out. We're really looking at kind of a bunch of different options of how that would work. Caribou being across from Scott, you can have, the left turn in and then a left turn out with an acceleration if you don't have those competing dual lefts. So that's another one where it's like there's some trade-offs there that we need to consider, and that's why we come out and get public input.
Okay.
And Will, I don't know if you have anything to add on that kind of question that I missed.
No, I think that was well said.
I think part of this also at public outreach is to kind of get the feedback, because we're trying to build a project at the same time the community needs to consider how that's going to network and develop into that neighborhood. And so if a connectivity like that is going to need to come stem from that subject needs to come up now. That's a great point.
Okay. One follow-up, and that's my concern, I guess, is that I feel like if we're, I understand the need to limit access potentially to the the Glen Highway, but then I see it putting more pressure on Arctic, which I feel like is already maxed out at certain times of the day, particularly. So as far as that goes, and I understand from your presentation earlier that a lot of accidents are happening on that from the Glen to Eagle, but I wondered, have you been able to do a traffic analysis like that, what that would look like going on to Dolphin? Because I understand it's a little steeper there, but it's not that far from Eagle. And what I've experienced being in the neighborhood is that maybe the exit from the Glen to Dolphin is a little less steep, but then when you're approaching Alaska on Dolphin, for both sides, it's very steep, and a lot of people avoid that entirely in the winter because you end up stalling it. You know, if you have to stop at the top of the hill, you can't get going again, and you can't stop if you're coming down to it. And so people avoid that and go to Arctic. And so I'm wondering if studies have been done on that, if it's just going to create another accident point, you know, like we move it from Eagle, but then it ends up happening somewhere else kind of thing. Is that something that's been looked at?
In general, we do look at what the traffic is gonna do. I don't know if we have an answer of like, are crashes gonna move to that intersection? That is a lot slower of an intersection, but no, we could take a look.
Okay.
And yeah, we haven't looked at what improvements would be down Dolphin and what that would look like either. But yeah, Will, go ahead.
Yeah, to add to that, just looking at the profile of the Glen Highway, and maybe sometimes it's hard to feel it in your car, but the Dolphin is significantly flatter compared to you're essentially coming down you're at the highest gradient when you're hitting Eagle. We haven't really investigated, what all the improvements along Dolphin would be, mainly because we really wanted to get the public's feedback, the community's feedback, to see like is this something that is worth really investigating and spending time on seeing what it would take for the improvements. I do appreciate the feedback I got while I was at the open house, and the concern that you just mentioned about the gradient at Alaska Street and Dolphin, and it's something that we will have to really evaluate much further in more detail to determine the viability if this is something that we recommend further.
Appreciate that. And I do recognize there's like pros and cons, and I don't think there's probably any option that is just all pros. But I think that neighborhood, like I said, from Eagle to Arctic is under a lot of traffic pressure as it is. And so would just hope that there's, a real careful look at what it's going to do to the neighborhoods there, particularly where there's a lot of kids and families and et cetera. Thank you.
I think just to talk about traffic diversion, especially around that community right there and Arctic Avenue, there's a couple things, and this also is related to speed. Today, without the separation of turn lanes, if I was going southbound on the Glen Highway, especially at night or in inclement weather, and I was going to make a left turn, I wouldn't want to be sitting in a through lane to do that. Additionally, if I'm trying to get out of Palmer, and I see that there's a truck a couple of cars ahead of me when I'm sitting at the light at Arctic, I may ignore the speed limit just to try to get around those vehicles that may potentially be turning left and blocking me, because a lot of times that's how we drive is our time is most important. So one thing that these improvements will do is it's going to separate those left turning movements. It's going to provide that safety benefit of separating that conflict point. And so some of the diversion that occurs today, maybe some of it is due to congestion at the Arctic Glen signal. Maybe some of it is just to avoid other maybe hot spots or places where you're worried about getting stuck at a left, behind a left turning vehicle. And so overall, with these improvements, we hope that we will be addressing the diversion, but ultimately addressing that safety and improving that reliability on the Glen Highway.
Ms. Mosier.
Thank you, ladies. I was at the very first public hearing, and I was again there last week. You guys did a great presentation. One of the things, and I'm kind of going to go back to Eagle for just a moment, and I think I asked one of you the question, was have you gotten in touch with the school district and the bus company? Because I'm kind of worried about the street. They're on Dolphin. Some of them are not paved in that area, and will the road handle that kind of stress? And when we look at if we're going to close Eagle, we're going to close the other street there, Caribou. Have you looked at what kind of study that would stress that would put upon Alaska Street and then turning off of there at that light? I think it would create a lot of diversion and a lot of backup there on Alaska Street into that neighborhood.
We're still digging into it a little bit, and we have not talked to the school district yet about what that would mean for their bus routing. But, you know, as I understand it, a lot of the bus routing is dependent on where people live, is also where the schools are. So buses do reroute, you know, also depending on what kind of road construction is going on, I'm sure, or something like that as well. So it would be something we would have to coordinate with them.
The coordination in the neighborhood is actually something that needs to be expanded further, and it sounds like exactly what you guys want to hear from us, but we're not at that point. We just want to hear you guys' feedback first if we start closing 2 of the 3 of these.
Yeah.
And if that's something that you guys could understand with us trying to control access points on and off the Glen, which one and where has not been decided. It's kind of a conversation. Digging further into the neighborhood and the neighborhood impacts might influence that more, and that's definitely a next step that we need to go through. And so all those are really good points, talking to school, looking at the bus, looking at the grades going down into Arctic, and how we go into tie into the rest of the neighborhood. So
Yes, ma'am.
So a roundabout on a highway, that seems, is that done anywhere else?
I think that's funny because that was my first reaction. It is done, and it is an interstate. My first concern when I saw it, I was like, wow, truckers hate roundabouts, and this is a truck haul route. But it is a very large diameter roundabout, maybe not the smaller ones we're thinking about. And they are providing that through north. What roundabouts excel significantly at is that traffic calming, forcing them to slow down, and what we're looking to really, the benefit of the roundabout over the other 2 is that incoming traffic coming out off the Glen Highway really has to take that roundabout and really slow down to take it. And they're already at that 25, 15 to get around the roundabout, 30, I don't know where we'll bring it down to. But then they'd have to speed up to go down the hill. Where the other 2, if they hit that green, they're just gonna keep coming through. But again, it's part of that discussion. You're still kind of city limits is what we're talking about with trying to reduce that speed limit to the 45 and give them more of the community feel after that intersection. And so the roundabout kind of feels more like it's in the community. At least that's the idea a little bit.
And a lot of times we do look at roundabouts just due to their safety benefit. The reduction in fatalities and major injury crashes always warrant us to look at that as an option at intersections where it does make sense. So it's one of the options that we're still considering and still on the table because of those factors. Is it the best fit here? We don't know yet.
Thank you.
I have anybody else have anything else? I have a few. You listed, there's 30-plus access points onto that road. Driving up there, I have a hard time counting 30, particularly on the east side. Once you get past the where they used to live, where the pizza place is, that's the absolute last one on that side. On the left-hand side, you've got Scott Marsh, where Frank Holt's place used to be. Yeah. And then you've got the 2 entrances into Cedar Hills. That's it. So the 30 number, I'm not really criticizing, but I think we need to look at that a little bit more. And you mentioned, go ahead.
Oh, for that 30 number, we're also counting driveways.
Yeah, there are no houses that are on the right-hand side that have driveways that I know of, but that's okay. So you mentioned crashes, conflicts, potential. Do we have a number, do we have a list of how many crashes or near misses or whatever that we have on that section of road, particularly at the Eagle intersection?
Unfortunately, there's no way to quantify near misses. Really, that was what we were getting feedback from. Really, it's the homeowners on the 2 corners off of Eagle. We do have crash data that goes back 5 years. Part of that includes some of the years of reconstruction of the intersection, which kind of skews the crash data. But yeah, for near misses, unless there was cameras that were put up and you take video and have AI or a company analyze it for near misses. That data is really just based on the feedback we got from the users of the corridor.
But in those crashes, we do look at the crashes and the conditions, whether they're nighttime, daytime. Are they in wet conditions, snowy conditions, dry conditions? And then that helps us shape the project and what the mitigation efforts are and what engineering solutions we might be looking at to help reduce those crashes.
And if I don't know if I misheard Will or not, but he mentioned left turn lanes going up that road. So it seems to me that if you have a left-hand turn lane entering onto Scott Road, a left-hand turn lane entering onto Eagle, obviously from the north, that kind of eliminates that problem. Obviously, the right-of-way is on the west side typically, as you go up the hill. Yeah, we have some other issues, but you have houses and stuff on the right-hand side that make it a whole heck of a lot harder to get right-of-way versus what's already owned, like farmland on the left. You mentioned the roundabout. You make an assumption that people know how to use roundabouts. So if we were in Europe, it'd be a little bit different story. But, having a light, having a reduced speed, it's going to reduce the speed coming down that hill if you have a light at the intersection of Fishhook and Glen Highway. So, along with what Councilwoman Collins mentioned, and I'll take a personal thing. I live on Caribou, and I avoid Arctic because of the traffic. I will go up the hill to turn right on Caribou. And what you're doing, if you shut that road down and you shut Eagle down, you are in fact forcing all the people to go onto Arctic, which already is an issue. By getting right away on the Three Bear side, you can expand that road into 3 lanes to the light, because once you get to Alaska Street, it's 3 lanes from there all the way to the airport.
So you as a driver would not access Caribou through Dolphin and then through the...
I would not do Dolphin, because then it's, it's a crazy road. I don't know if you guys have driven any of these streets.
Yes.
You go down that, then you turn left, and I have to go all the way, then I have to drive all the way either right or left to find Caribou again. Whereas now I just go down Caribou and I turn a little jog and I'm at my house. So that's a personal thing. But what I'm getting at is you're forcing all this traffic onto Alaska Street, Arctic. That is the problem right now. So I know that Chris is here from DOT, and we can bug him a little bit about it as well. But so my suggestion is we need to have a left-hand. I know we have an issue at Fred Meyer, Three Bear. The first driveway into Fred Meyer needs to be closed. And then I know you don't want to have a left-hand turn lane in Three Bears, but that compounds things. If you want to do what the suggestion was, have a road behind the ice cream parlor. So that's a little bit of an issue to me. So the other question I have is, how much city input? Are we going to have more meetings one-on-one that we can have more input, or what's going on with that?
Absolutely.
We're here to present to the council, yeah, absolutely. We're here to get the feedback. You guys were to put together the resolution to put it forward, to get the Arctic moving. So yeah, as design develops, we can definitely come present as it goes.
Yeah, and I do.
Honestly,
Yeah.
prefer to, if we could share the feedback we're getting from the public.
Yeah, I do understand speed limit requirements through the feds. However, I know they can move faster, that we have changed the speed limit on Alaska Street. Not Alaska, but Arctic from the bridge. We got that changed 20 years ago. Just by forcing the state to come out and do their little gun thing, and how fast are they going? But like it was mentioned, we have a high school coming in. Right now, it's 45 past the high school, the new school. That's unacceptable in my viewpoint. I think 35 should be before right at Matanuska River Park, or maybe at the bridge. And then because if school's in session, that 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, that light comes on, and you're going 45, 50 miles an hour around that corner, that doesn't work.
So I'll add to your speed limit comment earlier that you'd asked, so depending upon the road classification is when the feds get involved. So if a road system is on the national highway system because they considered it a connectivity to an airport, your airports, I can't think of everything at the moment, but your ports, local locations to get through on your interstates and that kind of thing. It becomes an NHS and then it goes through the federal government and it's protected by the federal government as that route. We would then have to change a speed and to change, that does go through the feds for improvement. And so that process is a little longer. Local roads, smaller community roads, much easier to change speeds. Those go through a speed study and get evaluated, like she was saying, through the traffic engineer and talk to a local community, fire department, APD, that kind of thing, or out here it's Palmer. So it does weigh in depending upon the classification in both the interstate for the Glen Highway and I'm actually not sure the classification on the Old Glen, but it's definitely a.
Yeah, well, and our advantage is there is an airport there and we do have a fire station right there with,
Yeah,
you know,
so
all that,
in that
and
case,
schools.
the speed wouldn't be as quick
Right.
because we'd have to get the approval.
Ms. Graham?
So I guess my question goes back to the crash data and the near miss data that the mayor had brought up. When you guys are talking about the crash data in that little corridor right there between Caribou and Eagle and up to Marsh, are you guys pulling that from 12200s, 12209s, ready reports, and CAD logs, or are you just pulling it from 12200s? Just for people who don't know what that means, the crash data that's submitted via law enforcement to the state versus 12209s, which is the self-report form. And then obviously readies don't get to DOT or the DMV, and same with some of the 12200 and 12209s don't necessarily get up there, but where is that data coming from? Because a lot of those ready reports are probably going to include near misses as well.
Yeah, I don't know, Will, do you?
The,
I know part of the
so the
answer.
crash data that we have, I'm not familiar with ready reports, to be honest. But the state has all the crash data, and I believe it's pulled from, I guess, the first one you said, where it's essentially police reports.
Okay.
I'd have to go dig to see our self-reported, the site's called Drakewell.
Yeah.
Does that get pulled into Drakewell or not? I could look and get back to you. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, it was just something that came up because I know that a lot of the times law enforcement will recommend that somebody fill out that driver self-report, same if they're hitting a moose in the area, that kind of thing. And then the ready calls that come in might be good information just for that corridor. And they should be able to pull that from CAD, so.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Do you have any last parting words you'd like to? We'll see you soon.
Other than thanks for having us and good feedback from you guys.
All right.
And we'll give you an update when we get one.
Thank you. And I would like to take a 5+ minute break at this point if there's no objections.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my sister-in-law lives in his neighborhood.
I have it written
Yeah, he
down.
wrote it down.
I have it- Sorry.
I know. Is it still on? Yes? Hope so. Okay, great. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity for me to give you a little update on Colony Days, one of Palmer's most beloved community traditions. Every year, Colony Days brings together residents, businesses, visitors, nonprofits, and community organizations to celebrate the spirit of Palmer. While it began as a celebration of our colony heritage, it has grown into one of the largest community events in the Mat-Su Valley, attracting thousands of attendees throughout the weekend. Colony Days is about more than entertainment. It is about bringing people together, supporting local businesses, showcasing our community, and creating experiences that make Palmer a destination for residents and visitors alike. The Colony Day Parade remains one of the highlights of the weekend. Local businesses, community organizations, schools, elected officials, and service groups fill the streets with floats, vehicles, music, and community spirit. Families line the parade route each year, making it a true Palmer tradition. The Colony Days Market provides an opportunity for local artists, makers, businesses, food vendors, and nonprofits to connect with thousands of attendees. It is one of the largest opportunities of the year for many small businesses to showcase their products and services. The Battle of the Beverages continues to grow in popularity. Featuring local breweries and beverage makers, attendees have the opportunity to sample products, support local businesses, and vote for their favorites. Make sure you go and try them all. They're really good. One of the things that makes Colony Days special is the variety of activities available for all ages. We have a kids zone this year. It offers games, activities, and entertainment designated specifically for children and families, creating a welcoming family experience. Meet the Breeds is an event that we're starting this year. Visitors can have the opportunity to learn about a variety of dog breeds and meet local owners and enjoy a unique family experience. Our popular kite show is again this year, fills the Palmer sky with colorful displays and provides a fun visual attraction for residents and visitors throughout the weekend. In addition, the Chamber hosts activities. Many local businesses and organizations host their own events during Colony Days. These community-led events help expand the celebration throughout the city and encourage attendees to explore Palmer. Some of the examples are face painting, community and nonprofit booths, the annual car show, special retail promotions and open houses, and live entertainment. Colony Days also includes opportunity for a little friendly competition. We have a cornhole tournament, brings together teams from around the valley for a fun and engaging event that continues to grow each year. And then the cribbage tournament at the Palmer Bar offers participants a chance to test their skills while enjoying one of Alaska's favorite card games and connecting with fellow community members. Colony Days has a significant impact on our community. This event brings thousands of visitors to Palmer. It increases traffic to local restaurants, shops, hotels, and businesses. It creates opportunities for vendors and entrepreneurs, supports nonprofits through visibility, and reinforces a sense of community that makes Palmer unique. Events like Colony Days contribute to both the economic vitality and the community pride that help our city thrive. Residents and visitors can find the full schedule, registration information, parade details, and event updates on our website, on our Facebook page, and at the Colony Days Facebook page. We encourage everyone to follow those social media channels for the latest information as additional activities and events are added. On behalf of the Greater Palmer Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank the City of Palmer, our sponsors, volunteers, businesses, community partners, and countless supporters who have helped Colony Days make it possible. We are excited for another successful year, and we're looking forward to continuing to welcoming the community to Palmer for Colony Days 2026. Happy Colony Days.
And you forgot the bed race.
And the bed races, I forgot a lot. There's so much going on. We have bed races and the egg toss, and yeah, there's so much happening all throughout the weekend, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now audience participation.
Thank you. No, now it's reports.
That can't be trusted either.
City manager's report, please, sir.
Mayor, council members, Jude Billifer. First off, a huge shout out to the Palmer High girls soccer team. What an amazing accomplishment. First time state champs. So as I said, big shout out to them and their supporters and their coaches and that whole team. Looking forward to Colony Days, as was just mentioned. In support of that, Public Works, my other hat, is very involved, as you can imagine. Folks, I'm assuming have noticed the flower baskets are all up around town. We did have some unfortunate additional wind this past Saturday that damaged several of them, but my crew is working very hard to get them and bring them back to life. Also, another casualty of that, unfortunately, were several of the high school banners, which we love having those up through Colony Days for exactly as the reasons mentioned. We have so many additional visitors. Which leads me to one thing we have postponed, and I made the decision, so you all can yell at me, to not start the Evergreen Ave project or the Cedar Ave project until after Colony Days. Weight restrictions played a role in that because the weight restrictions did not come off the roads until significantly later this year of June 1st. So it just made sense that I'm not gonna authorize that heavy machinery in town when we have Colony Days going on. So again, again, that decision was made. It will start on the 15th, both of those projects. Library hosted its annual Touch-a-Truck event in Palmer at the Palmer Sports Center last week. 96 children participated in that event. Of course, as usual, the biggest, shiniest, most lit up fire truck was the center of attention, but it's hard to compete with all those flashy lights and a giant ladder and all that. But anyways, so a thanks to all the volunteers, the library folks who set that up. It's always well attended, and I would encourage folks to go to this next year and just see the excitement on the kids' faces when they get in and out of all the various pieces of equipment. It's pretty awesome. Also, the library hosted the official, even though the ground has been broken, groundbreaking ceremony on May 30th, so that was 2 Saturdays ago. Over 200 people attended this event over the course of it. So a great opportunity to showcase, have people see what's going on. The footers for the library got started this week, so that's what that big boom arm is that if anybody drove by, that is setting the concrete footers for the foundation of that building. Annual crack sealing and road striping is wrapping up. I hope people have noticed around town, we're about 90% done. Have had some slight weather delays, but a very, very successful project on that one as well. And finally, what I'd like to do is I would like to have the airport superintendent provide an update on airport-related items at this time.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Quick update for the airport. Just a few items to talk through real quick. First off, tonight you'll see on the agenda we have a grant for your approval for it'll be the final grant for the airport lighting project. This will be third in line and the final grant fully funding the project. We expect to start construction July 25th and communicate the schedule through the users of the airport. Expected, if everything goes absolutely perfectly, it'll be completed in December of this year. So it's very possible that we continue construction into next year. Also, there is out at the airport a new NEPA requirement that we're working through. So NEPA is the National Environmental Policy Act, implemented in several years ago, at least 40 years ago, that requires an environmental evaluation of any project using federal funds. Well, this has been stretched and contorted over the years, and over the earlier part of this year has been used to apply also to the expenditure of private funds at the airport. So a private hangar development now is required to do a NEPA document. We're still working through the ramifications of this. It's possible that it may inhibit development at the airport and at airports around the state and the country, because we're not the only airport that's subject to this. The airport appraisal, expect to see a first draft of that this week or next. And I'm hoping to be able to report that at the next couple of meetings to council. The airport master plan, we're doing the final modifications to the scope being improved as presented from our contractor and approved by the FAA. Expect to have another update at a future meeting for you. We can dive into more details, and looking for a grant application to be submitted pretty soon, and your approval once that grant application comes back. And I can use time at a future meeting to go into more details of that if that's what you'd like to see. The master plan's divided into 2 phases, so this will be phase 1. Phase 1 deals with the conditions and needs of the airport. It's basically an information gathering session. It lasts about a year, 8 months to a year, and it rolls into phase 2, which is the actual plan that meets the conditions and needs. It plans for the actual future of the airport. As with anything dealing with the FAA, there's a document that guides us, and that's an advisory circular 150/5070-6B, change 2. And that's the guiding document behind this master plan. Finally, the release of obligation status. It's been asked about. There's 2 steps that need to be done before that we proceed with this. The appraisal is the first step, and then the master plan would be the second step. So we're awaiting this data at this time. Anticipated time frame, probably looking at a submission for this next summer. I don't have a good time frame for you right now, but as the master plan proceeds, we'll refine that timeline as we get closer. Are there any questions? Thank you.
And that concludes the manager's report.
Any questions of the manager? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for you. The procurement officer, when are we going to hire for that position? Go ahead.
That is still being developed right now, so I do not have a date or a time to give you on that.
So when you say update, what does that mean? Or being developed?
That means the roles, responsibilities, duties, that sort of thing that would be codified in any kind of hiring document.
Okay.
So that is, as I said, being worked, but I do not have a timeline for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. As we saw tonight, the ladies soccer team won state championship. What is not brought up is the women's softball team also won state, and I know that they had a pretty good celebration up at the high school with fire trucks and police escorts, and the buses running through water and all that kind of stuff was pretty good. And the boys baseball team, they unfortunately didn't win state, but they did win the Rail Belt Regional Championship. And a young lady, Lila Peterson, I believe that's her name, won first in state in the 400 meters. It's kind of like the first, we've had kind of like a lot of firsts for the city of Palmer this year, which is really nice. I want to thank council members Alcantara, Collins, and Mosier for going to the Wednesday DOT presentation. I really appreciate you standing in for us. And on Thursday, Councilmember Carrington went to a ribbon cutting ceremony, and she and her husband helped actually cut the ribbon. So an MPO Transit Roundtable is tomorrow. It has probably 20 plus groups ranging from, the transit to Matsu Health Foundation to, you kind of name it, talking about all kinds of different transit issues, problems, and how can they try to resolve those throughout our area. There's also June 16th is my next meeting with the chamber on kind of finalizing our July 17th Celebrate Palmer events. And I know that we, kind of talked about that, and at the end, I will task everybody to do something about that. So, and this weekend, obviously, is Colony Days. So, thank you. So that's all I have. Madam Clerk.
My report's pretty short. I'm reminding council about the training on June 20th at, I don't remember what time I said it, at 10 o'clock. Luckily, it's on the last page of the agenda. And then I also wanted to just do a quick, elections are around the corner. So candidate filing period will be next month. It'll open on July 20th at 8 a.m. And we have 3 seats available. We have a 1-year seat and 2 3-year seats that'll be on the ballot so far. And that, oh, and I also wanted to bring up, yes, so they are going to be doing remodeling in this room the last week of July, which is our second meeting of the month. So we need to consider, we don't have to decide right this minute, but the depot is also not available that day. So we will need to consider moving it or canceling it, like moving it to a different day. The depot is available July 29th, which is a Wednesday. So we have, a month and a half to think about it, but just keep in mind, we might have to move our July 28th meeting date.
Yes, sir.
If I may, we are working with the contractor to do our best not to impact your schedules here, especially the council meetings. So once the carpet is actually in for this project, then I will have a much better idea in terms of the actual schedule. So as you mentioned, it's tentative right now, but we will do our best to rearrange the schedule of which rooms get done first to accommodate that.
That sounds perfect. I just don't want to shock anybody in case we did have to move it.
Yeah, the options are like we have done in the past, move it up a week to the 21st, or move it, one day or one way or the other. But as Mr. Billiford said, we'll get more information as that comes closer.
And does anybody have any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you. Madam Attorney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. A report for the council. And my name is Anna Crary, an attorney with Landy Bennett Blumstein and working for the city of Palmer, if anyone does not know who I am. Coming off the heels of your last meeting 2 weeks ago, we drafted and submitted for your review and consideration today during Committee of the Whole, a draft golf course committee resolution. In the course of our drafting of that resolution, we discovered that in 1993, decades ago, the city had formed a golf course committee, and that committee existed for 3 years and worked to support and report to the council on golf course adjacent issues. That committee was dissolved in 1996. I can provide copies of those ordinances if you would like to see them. At that point in time, your committees were created by ordinance, not by resolution as they are now. But I believe that the mayor has some additional details about that sort of legislative history and the circumstances surrounding the formation of that golf course that he'll share with you either now or during Committee of the Whole. So I just wanted to provide you with that update. I'd also mentioned during your last meeting that we were working closely with Chief Bozeman to help draft and revise a smartphone use policy for the Palmer Police Department. We completed that work. The policy, I believe, has been finalized, and it establishes some pretty important guidelines and standards for Palmer Police Department use of smartphones and the course and scope of their employment with the police department. It focuses on a number of different issues, but one of, I think, the key issues is that it incorporates specific document and data retention requirements and provisions that address and incorporate both Alaska Public Record Act requirements and also certain evidence preservation and chain of custody requirements that come into play in the course and scope of evidence collecting. So given the extent, we all know that there are a couple of Facebook groups that exist that are continuing to address Palmer-specific topics and issues that come before the council. And so right now we are in the process of researching and analyzing whether and the extent to which council member engagement with those social media platforms create issues under the Open Meetings Act. We're going to discuss that in much more detail during your June 20th work session, and we'll have some recommendations and just some historical information for the council to provide at that time. But I just wanted to let you know that we're digging into that. Also, too, because you are a public body, there are First Amendment concerns that are raised with respect to your communications on those platforms. So that's another aspect of the research and analysis that we've been doing. I previously reported about sales tax demand letters that had been sent out by your finance department. The deadline to respond to those letters is 2 days from now on the 11th of June. And so I don't believe that responses have been received, but if June 11th passes and we wake up on June 12th and there are no responses, my office will work closely with your finance director, Gina Davis, to take appropriate action as necessary under your code. And then finally, the final item in my report that I want to address is the fact that on June 3rd, so last Wednesday, the city was served with a complaint filed by, I believe, city resident Michael Borgford, and it is alleging that the city committed a number of violations of the Open Meetings Act. The complaint and the summons was served on your clerk properly. It names both the city and the council as parties to the lawsuit. It does not name any city employees or council members in their individual capacities. Like I said, it alleges violations of the OMA that relate to certain discussions that occurred during city meetings regarding golf course management and then subsequent decisions that the city took with respect to those issues. And to be very specific, it implicates information that was discussed by the city in executive session. So for those folks present today and council members who are curious, the specific statute that the complaint alleges was violated is AS 44.62.310. At this point in our review of the complaint, we've determined that we can represent both the city and the council simultaneously. Sometimes questions about conflicts arise when you are representing two separate entities or two defendants or co-defendants in a lawsuit. But simply because of the way that the complaint is pleaded in our review and assessment of it, we don't believe that any conflict issues are created at this time. We are currently working with your clerk to confirm what documents we need to review to respond to the complaint. It alleges very fact-specific allegations. We need to investigate the facts surrounding those investigations. And so your clerk has been very helpful with that. If you're curious about, when does the city have to respond? How do you respond? A standard deadline to respond to a complaint in a variety of different ways is usually 20 days after you have been served. So your 20-day deadline, absent any extension that is asked for or agreed to, asked for by us, or agreed to by the plaintiff, the deadline to respond would be on the 23rd of June. So we will keep you updated about that. We will certainly make a recommendation to you about how to proceed after we review information from the clerk. We are evaluating a few possible courses of action, and we have some initial thoughts about strategy and about risk that I will advise the city on during tonight's executive session. And we will continue to provide the city with updates once a response has been filed. If any pleadings, additional pleadings have been filed and served on you, and basically if there's any new information to report. And so happy to take questions, but that concludes my report.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. I'm not sure if you can answer this question or if HR Manager Barry needs to, but as far as the smartphone use policy for PPD, does the city provide the cell phone, or is there a stipend provided to employees?
It's my understanding that the city provides the cell phone and that the city also provides the case. There could be certain specifics that city manager might be able to elaborate on, but as drafted, I think it contemplates that these are phones that are city property.
Cool. That answers my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to audience participation.
I'm gonna need this sheet.
Council meeting rules protect your right to testify and be heard even if others in the room disagree with you. Council meeting rules also ensure that those attending can express their views if they do not interfere with the rights of others to see and hear the proceedings. At all times, order and decorum will be maintained in keeping with the civility and dignity of the legislative process. Please be respectful during audience participation. No disruptions to city business or threats of any kind will be allowed. Individuals who cannot follow these guidelines will be removed. Any threats against others could result in criminal prosecution. Please sign in, state your name, 3 minutes. Hi, Tom.
Hi, I'm Donald Trump. Somehow I don't think you believe me, but anyways, my real name is Tom Robertson, and live on Off Marsh Road. I'm very familiar with this project going on here. I used to teach CDL training, not only in the military, but in the fire department. For people who don't know, emergency vehicles are exempt from CDL. The people who need the training the most are exempt. Having driven fire truck, it's tempting to jump out in traffic because they got a red light and siren going. They got to stop. Well, the other problem is when they go around the corner, the water slashes up the top of Benton. And Marsh Road is not the place where I asked the driveway for the fire department. The fire department needs to go farther up by what's called Pioneer Parkway because it's not at a blind intersection. Marsh Road is a very blind intersection. And it's way too tempting to jump out in traffic. I've done it. I hate to admit it. Thank God I didn't hit anybody. Okay, what I have here, and they didn't bring it, I had pictures of the bluff that's caving in off of the Palmer Fish Hook, right across Palmer Fish Hook on the Glen Highway. If you continue over through the woods, there's nothing down there for 300 feet. And so I took pictures from the lookout coming this way, and now the bluff is only 40 feet from the pavement. A few years ago when we redid it, we widened it and everything else. I forget how far, it just keeps going back. They keep band-aiding this operation piecemeal together, and you're not gonna beat Mother Nature. It's flat going. So I wrote a letter to President Trump asking him not to fund this project. It's a failed project. It's failed in the past. It keeps failing. There's no point in doing it until you gotta fix the root of the problem. The whole hill is sliding down, and I have pictures showing all this. Anyways, I'll have to bring it back again if you can put up with me another time and show you the root of the problem here. In Glen Ellen, just south of Glen Ellen on the Richardson Highway, the whole road went off into the Copper River, like 200 feet down, the whole road. And they had to rebuild the road and move it farther away. That's what we need to do here. If you go to Seward, on the Seward Highway, you go down by Girdwood, the whole hill was sliding down, and they had to move the whole road. Is that me? Did I do that? Did I have a blowout? What did I do? You trying to tell me you don't want me? Is that what you're trying? All right, but anyways, I think you know that they had to move the highway down in Tourniquet Arm. So when do I get to come back? I'm gonna crawl under here and hide under this thing. Pardon me?
I was letting Mr. Jackson know he was next.
Okay.
Can I just yield to him for 30 seconds?
Yeah. Takes me that long to get over here.
Well, you lost then, brother. My name is Andre Jackson. I initially came here to talk about Juneteenth. I won't do that. Initially, I want to talk about the Alaska Highway Project. What I will say that I have the opportunity coming up real soon to actually travel to the site in Tok. They're doing some currently excavation of it, and they're finding a lot of artifacts, so we'll get a chance to actually see some of this stuff. What I do want to talk about is the Matsu Barrel solid waste. Not necessarily the waste itself, but 49th Street. I've been there last week, and I don't know if it's changed, but there's not a left turn signal. And if you try to come out of there around 2 o'clock when schools lets out, it's hard to make a left-hand turn. And I don't know why they never put a turn signal. However, if you're on Palma-Wasilla Highway going north and you want to turn into 49th Street, there's a left turn signal that'll allow you to go in there. But if you want to come out of there, there's no left turn signal. And I tell you, you know, that used to be a serious crash area. And I'm surprised it hasn't really been bad. So at this point in time, I hope that the mayor would direct an acting manager or city manager to get with either Works, Palmer Works or the Matsu Barrel Works, and at least put a left turn signal there. Thank you.
My name is Chris Lithgow. Good evening. I want to say that it's kind of unfortunate that public comment comes before community development and golf course updates on the agenda. We all show up, we all want to hear what's going on, and we want to be able to give input on things that we hear during the updates in the current meeting while they're fresh in our minds, not a couple weeks later when you have to kind of remember things and go back over them. I hope that's something that could be fixed in the future. We all see the condition of the golf course. It's all over the internet. Everyone can see the state that it's in. Most people think that the problem was because that there was no water, and I've heard that that's been remedied. We have water now. But the actual problem for me was that there's no experience. I heard that a superintendent was hired who removed the tarps from the greens when they were still predicted to have freezing temperatures on the 10-day forecast. A superintendent that left for Georgia to work on another golf course just days after inflicting this damage to our greens, only for him to not even return. So my question is, who is driving this ship now? This organization allowed immediate heavy foot traffic on those greens. They failed to top dress those greens, letting the cold air seep even deeper into the roots as they were aerated at the end of the season last year. They failed to overseed, and they probably haven't even ordered seed, but they have surely killed the possibility of timely germination should it ever happen. We live in the Matsu Valley. This is the agricultural capital of Alaska, and you have somehow failed to grow grass. Mr. Oots said a couple of weeks ago that you can do everything right and someone will still have a problem. The problem is this council and city management has done nothing right in this matter. This council insults us by wanting to create a golf course advisory board. You have had 10 months consisting of hundreds of passionate advocates for this place show up and advise you. And every word we have spoken has fallen on deaf ears. Bringing up such an idea is about as tone deaf as you can get. One of you even suggested that the board falls under the Parks and Rec. How ignorant can you be? This golf course is not a park. It is a financial asset to the city of Palmer. This was a money-making establishment that you are squandering by getting your bureaucratic hand involved in. We do not want an advisory board. We want to put this season behind us. We want to focus on the RFP. The golfing community wants it returned to the private sector that has an actual passion for golf and cares about those who show up to play it daily. We want it returned to the shape and playability and beauty that it was in just a year ago. Work on the RFP and release the RFP. Thank you.
Oh, I'm going. Okay, I'm Cindy Heelharsh. Thanks for being here, everybody. better temperatures in here tonight, even though it's nice out. A little bit different topic, just something I read about that stuck in my mind for more time than it should, actually since March 24th. March 24th of this year, City Manager Colby Hickle-Zirkle was asked by Council Member Alcantara whether or not she had moved to a residence within Palmer's 5-mile residency boundary. Her response at that meeting, about 19 minutes in, was, I provided you and the rest of the council in October my proof of residency, and that had been verified by HR before the election was ever certified to change the city charter. So this is just a procedural thing. That was a non-answer to me. No one pressed her, although I don't know that anyone was prepared to. I don't think that I would have pressed her either. Recent discussions on the Palmer Accountability Facebook project page raised questions about her residency. Residents deserve clear answers to those questions. Why was the question not answered directly by her? Her response was incomplete. It did not resolve the issue for me. And reading about it this last weekend made me think about it some more. Public records indicate that Colby owns a primary residence. I won't tell you the address. It's on the tax roll. If she claims residency in Palmer for the purposes of meeting city charter requirements, that residency should be verified. I think it should be verified through a number of accounts. I think that we all can prove where we pay our bills, where our telephone bill comes. She doesn't have to have a mortgage, but she's got to pay rent. She received a 2026, this year, primary residence exemption in Anchorage. That bugs me. So either we are paying for someone who shouldn't be here, or she's claiming an exemption she should not have. Either way, one has to do with the city, one has to do with the state. That house is in her name, not her and her spouse's name. I respectfully request that the mayor and the council verify the city manager's compliance with Palmer's residency requirements. Verification should include documentation documenting actual residency, responsibility for the financial residence, supporting records showing occupancy. I don't think it would hurt for her to invite somebody over for coffee to prove it. The question's simple. Palmer's paying $170,000 to a city manager who may or may not reside here. I hope she does, but it just keeps popping up. Transparency and accountability are reasonable expectations for us and for you guys. I request that you guys review this and please report back to us and just let us know. The answer that day just got me. So anyway, thank you.
Anybody else, Tom? Anybody else wishing to come forward and speak to the?
Mike raised his hand.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mike Malevsky. I do live in Palmer, Alaska, and you certainly are all invited to come on over. We have a beautiful backyard, new deck, and just let us know in advance so we can make sure we have enough coffee to go around. But there are two things I wanted to talk about, three things actually. The first is that the Colony Day Parade passes right in front of our studios across from the depot there. And what we've been doing for the last number of parades is streaming the video of that parade. And we've had increasing numbers of people say, we like that. Even people who are in the parade who can't see what they're doing, later on can take a look and watch it. Or if someone, for one reason or another, can't get down to watch it, they can certainly watch it live. So we'll be doing that. We'll be doing it from a little before the parade starts. We aim right at our cameras right at the reviewing stand, and we catch it all. So, and then later on, it's on our website, bigcabbageradio.org. So take a look at that. Also, what we have been doing for the last few months, this is from Mr. Billifer, we have, as we walk by to go over the studio, we've been taking pictures of the construction site of the library. And we're doing that just to show the progress being made, because it's amazing if you do that. So we've got a record of those photos up on our website also. So if you're wondering what's happening, my wife in particularly is just fascinated with this, so she'll wander about and has made friends with the assistant superintendent of the work, et cetera, so that she's not queried about why she's doing it. The last thing is for the mayor. In a roundabout way, I want to invite you, sir, Mr. Cooper, to come with me as I go toward Wasilla. I know you might not get over there very often, but if you travel on Bogard Road, you may note that there are not one, not two, not three, but 4 roundabouts that you pass through. There are many people who have done that successfully, back and forth, perhaps, yes. And there are more coming, and they're wonderful. I have traveled that over decades, and when they were added, it made a difference and so on. So I want to, if you have missed that for one reason or another, I'd be happy to take you over them, either on a bike, which works as well, or a vehicle. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
No.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, will close audience participation, bring it back to the council. For council's edification, our proceedings follow Robert's Rules of Order as set forth in Palmer Municipal Code 2.06.010. To promote an orderly and respectful meeting, I respectfully ask the council to observe the following rules. Please seek recognition before speaking. No member shall speak more than twice. These guidelines, or continuously for any one question, these guidelines will help ensure fairness, efficiency, and mutual respect during our discussions. So we're at action memorandum number 1, 26.072. Authorizing the city manager to purchase a pre-owned Toro Realmaster 5410 36.8 horsepower diesel fairway mower from Turf Star Western for an amount not to exceed $53,000 for the Palmer Municipal Golf Course. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions of Mr. Billifer on this? Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Acting City Manager Billifer and Public Works Director Billifer. This was a purchase of piece of equipment that was in the works previously. I mean, we're gonna buy this piece of equipment. It isn't something that just came about because of the lack of growth at the Palmer Golf Course kind of thing.
I do not have that answer, but there is a gentleman right here, our Community Development Director, and I'll bring him up, Nate, please, who can give you the fine details on that.
Good afternoon. I apologize, I didn't hear the question in its totality.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Oates. I'm just curious if this is a purchase that has just come about because of the existence of situation at Palmer Golf Course, or is this something that was in the works for, were we going to buy this piece of equipment even if we had a private contractor, or is this a piece of equipment we're purchasing just to try to get things back up to snuff at the golf course, I guess?
Well, I have a political answer for you. It's a perfect scenario. Yes and no. So you asked particular equipment. No, George and I did not identify, or George did not identify a particular equipment. We had identified an amount that we thought that he would need for that budgeting when we sat down, and I think it was, forgive me, it was either September or October when we did this. I'm assuming it was September because October was budget season. So we identified an amount, not a particular equipment. And because he had been doing it for 19 years, there was that, like, we're gonna take your advice. If you've been running it, it's been successful, like, probably should have asked why, but we talked at length about multiple things, including increase of income that he was asking to pass down to his employees. So in this particular, it was a very quick review of like, hey, what do you think? This is what we had before. What did we purchase? Those were the zero-turn mowers that we had purchased the prior year. And then this year, he just be like, yeah, I think 45 would be appropriate for the equipment that we might need. We didn't discuss which one. One being my ignorance at the time of golf course operations. So yes and no. It was identified, but as you see, can see in my, not so much of a summary statement, but more of a background statement, we had identified 45,000 and 30 for a CIP project, which is kind of auxiliary to equipment purchasing. But that's why I listed the 45 for the equipment and 30 for CIP, which will be coupled with item 7.3 after this. So in that, as you read, once we retained, direct management of it, we had kind of gone through, went through the mechanic shop, went through the cart barn, looked at equipment that either was degraded or things that were most important for operations of golf course, which then turned into identifying the real master, which is the fairway mower. And as stated in the background statement, there's reasons why that was selected. Hopefully that answered. Was that it?
Yeah, I appreciate that answer.
Okay.
It's a good, thorough answer. So as I read the two action memoranda that we had $75,000 set aside. If we approve both of these, we're going to spend just a little bit north of that, 81,000 total for the two pieces of equipment.
Technically, no. $45,000 for the equipment, right? So we have obviously coded budgetary items. 45,000 was for the equipment, 30 was for capital improvement projects, which weren't identified either. It was it could go to really any sort of capital improvement project, whether that be the pro shop, the cart barn, the mechanic shop, anything to do with any sort of like capital improvement of the grounds. The equipment was actually earmarked for equipment. So 45 for equipment, but 30 for CIP, which could be used for this if, after we amend the budget and move money around. But obviously that's over because there's a shortfall from what I asked for in October.
Thank you.
So yes, sir, what you're saying is, we are 8,000 short, and that's what they're asking for, is that additional 8,000.
The last question I have, Mr. Mayor, is as it says a delivery date of May 29th on here for one of the pieces of equipment. Have we already received the second piece of equipment or any of this equipment?
No, because we had identified several pieces of equipment, and Alex with Turo has been the rep for over, I believe it's over 5 to 6 years, if I'm serving correctly. But Turo is the equipment that we purchased last year from, forgive me, I'm forgetting the Turf Star Western. And so we had identified a bunch of stuff, and we've gotten a couple invoices or estimates. And in that discussion, certain things didn't work out, right? So like we were looking to purchase used equipment because private golf courses tend to rotate, they lease their equipment. So they'll buy, and then after 3 to 5 years, they'll just turn it back in and rotate their equipment. So municipal golf courses aren't really in the leasing business, they're more in the purchasing business because they tend to lean more on the maintenance side of things for the longevity of the equipment. So in the past, George and Brad and predecessors have always gone and purchased used equipment. So the equipment we had identified fell through because basically the golf course that was going to be releasing it didn't turn it over, decided to retain a different type of lease or execute their dollar buyout or whatever it was. So these are all estimates. So I will say that Turo is going to be, hold on, let me a second. Let me make sure I've got two equipment that I'm talking about, so I gotta make sure I stay on target here. Okay, so for the Realmaster 5410, which is what we're looking at with 72 here, the 1600 delivery is to Turf Star Western into that Washington State. He will be basically, essentially shipping it up on his dime, so to say. The other one, we'll discuss that. It's actually with that authorization of purchase from the council, he'll be eating that shipping as well. So it won't, this one will cost us $1,600 in shipping to get to Washington. Once from Washington up to here, they're gonna go ahead and pass that up. So this is the hard number.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Madam Clerk. Yep.
Just checking. I don't have any questions. Councilmember Allen.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier.
Yes.
And Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved.
Thank you. Action Memorandum 26073, authorizing the city manager to purchase a pre-owned Greensmaster 3150 18 horsepower greens mower from Turf Star Western for an amount not to exceed $28,000 for the Palmer Municipal Golf Course. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions about this one? Yes, ma'am.
You said the main difference between these two numbers was just the fact, I mean, not just the fact, but the reason why it's so much different is because one, we're paying that fee to get it to Washington, and one, we're not. Did I hear that? Did I understand that right?
Are you asking the difference between Action Memorandum 72 and 73?
Yes.
It's
Or is
two-
it because they're like wildly different pieces of machinery?
Exactly, two
Okay.
different mowers.
Gotcha.
All right, no more. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Allen.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved.
Moving on, item J, unfinished business. Action Memorandum 26068, directing the city manager to notify the state of Alaska of the city council's statement of non-objection of the restaurant eating place license 6029 for Feather and Flower LLC. This is continuation from the 26 May regular city council meeting. We need to have a, what's the wishes of the council? We need a motion to approve.
I just want to remind the council that we do already have a motion
Oh, we
to
do
approve
have
on
one?
the floor.
All right.
So we
All
just
right.
need to
We already have
discuss
one.
and vote.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone wish to talk about this? Seeing no one, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Allen.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier.
Yes.
And Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved.
Thank you. New business, Resolution 26014, authorizing city manager to accept and appropriate Grant 3-02-0211-037-2025 in the amount of $461,700 from the Federal Aviation Administration and an expenditure in the amount of $15,104 from the Airport Fund for the purpose of rehabilitating the airport lights at the Warren Bud Woods Palmer Municipal Airport. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion, questions, we kind of heard a little bit about that already. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Allen.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
And Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Is unanimous and approved.
1A, Action Memorandum 26071, authorizes the city manager to award the remainder of the airport lighting project to Granite Construction in the amount of $327,652. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Comments, concerns? Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Allen.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier.
Yes.
And Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved.
Thank you. Resolution 26015, a resolution of the Palmer City Council authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement required by the State of Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation in connection with a loan from the Alaska Clean Water Fund in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for the Headworks Rehabilitation Project. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Would anybody like to have a report from Public Works Director on what this 500,000 is? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't ever need a full report. I think in the past, Mr. Billafer has explained to this how there's a nominal fee of 0.5% to receive this money, and unless anything's changed over the last year and a half of us accepting these grants, I think it's a good idea.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Mosier?
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra?
Yes.
Councilmember Allen?
Yes.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
It is unanimous and approved.
Thank you. Moving on. Resolution 26016, supporting AARP Livable Communities principles in the development of safe, accessible, and walkable community for residents of all ages. Wishes of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Yes, ma'am.
I would, in just reading this over and looking back at the 2017 minutes, in the wishes of the council back then, I would like to reserve my, I would like to hand this down to planning and zoning and have them look at the comprehensive plan and see if they can incorporate some of this in there. This organization took their formal model, their 8 business model, directly from the WHO organization underneath the UN, and I want to just make sure that we're all reading the fine print and that we're not getting ourselves into something that we're not paying attention to.
I need a motion, I would need a motion to refer it to planning and zoning. That was more of just a statement.
I would make a motion to refer this to planning and zoning and compare it to do a comparative analysis with the comprehensive plan.
Any second on that? Hearing none, fails for lack of a second. So back to the resolution. Madam Clerk.
So we are now back to the main motion
Yes.
to approve the resolution.
Yes.
Just making sure everybody understands. Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Allen?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosier?
No.
Councilmember Carrington?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra?
Yes.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
And Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
It passes at 6-1.
Thank you. No items placed on the table that we have?
Nope,
Blake?
nothing.
All right, moving on again to audience participation. Again, council meeting rules protect your right to testify and be heard even if others in the room disagree with you. Council meeting rules also ensure that those attending can express their views if they do not interfere with the rights of others to see and hear the proceedings. At all times, order and decorum will be maintained in keeping with civility and dignity of the legislative process. Please be respectful during audience participation. No disruptions to city business or threats of any kind will be allowed. Individuals who cannot follow these guidelines will be removed. Any threats against others could result in criminal prosecution. Please sign in, state your name.
I got your time.
3 minutes.
I have nobody on the list, so yeah, if you would like to speak, come on forward.
We gotta sign in again?
I will sign you in.
Please do. Donald Trump.
For Tom Robertson.
Oh,
Okay.
And Cindy will go again.
Send Cindy after. Okay.
No, you're up. Go.
not very much up. Barely up.
Now you're up.
Okay. All right, here we go again. All right. When do I get started? Oh, no.
You're not quite yet.
When you state your name.
First word.
You're
Tom Roberts.
There you go.
Okay, what I'm back again about this highway thing, the reason why I talked to President, or wrote to President Trump, because the state is not telling you the whole story. They want to make it a 4-lane going up Bailey Hill. In order to do that, the original plan was to move the water tower out of the way. I keep telling them, leave that water tower alone, it's just fine where it's at. It doesn't need your help. But you do need to move the highway from the bluff side all the way over the other side of the water tower after Pioneer Parkway. I got the name correct. Go that way back there because there's nothing back there. It's farmland. It used to be a golf course. There's plenty of room. You can build any direction you want, and the land is cheap back there, and you need to stay about 400 feet away from that bluff because they keep piecemealing back, move back, move back, and it doesn't do any good. So I asked to move the highway all the way back, go behind the Muskox Farm, all the way up to mile 55.5. Got to get away from the bluff. And then the other thing that they didn't talk about is we had an accident in a school bus. I think it was 99. It might have been 98. When a pickup truck coming down Bailey Hill, not going fast, but it was a winter, and it hit a school bus. And totaled out a brand new school bus. In case you don't know, school buses are built like a tank. They are like about a 20-ton truck. Thank God, no kids were on the bus. Can you believe that? Well, that's what happened. But you can remember that no kids are on the bus. That's why people don't know anything about this. But totaled out a brand new school bus. Because the steepness of the hill, the incline, picks up the momentum of the vehicle, and the inertia smacking into something creates a lot more damage. So that's why I keep saying Eagle Street needs to be blocked off, and the highway needs to start elevating from Scott Road, a slight elevation in grade. And so by the time it gets up to Dolphin, it's at least 5 or 6 feet higher than the grade it is now as it goes up that blind hill. That's a very dangerous hill. I've driven trucks. I know what it meant. I've even called DOT or the highway department when 2 tractor trailers spun out going up the hill in the wintertime. Thank God they had chains on. They were able to drag themselves up. Anyway, so there's a lot more to this that I would like to explain. 5 lanes up, 5 lanes in Arctic. I'm happy. And I'll leave you alone. That is 4-lane garbage. All right, here we go again. Thank you. Don't leave, I'm just getting warmed up.
That was your last shot.
No! I'm gonna take the microphone home with me then.
I'm Cindy Heelharsh. I didn't quite finish because this isn't a topic I love to talk about.
Move it close to me.
Oh, okay. I'm moving the mic close to me because I can't really get closer. So the city manager's immediate family has at least 5 members, including her new baby. There should be plenty of ways to prove on paper that 5 people live in a home within 5 miles of Palmer. If the investigation, that I hope happens, determines that the residency requirements were not met, the city should take whatever action is required under applicable contracts, policies, and city code. Any decisions regarding employment status, compensation, or contractual obligation should be based on the facts established during the review of the governing legal provisions. Thanks for your time. This is a money matter. That's what drives a lot of stuff around here, but Palmer's not the wealthiest city in the world. I think we do a good job of keeping cash reserves, and I'd like to see it stay that way. We're making good progress on stuff. Let's keep it going and not have doubts about things like this. So, thanks.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll close audience participation and bring it back to the council. We're on item N, Committee of the Whole. and I need a motion.
I move to enter committee of the whole to speak about draft resolution 26-017, establishing the Golf Course Advisory Committee.
I second.
So was that, seconded that one? Okay.
Mosher
All right.
seconded
All
that
right. Thank you. Okay, we're now in committee of the whole. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank the legal counsel and Benji's office for working so hard on this. I think this looks really good. I do want to point out that the idea of the Golf Course Advisory Committee was brought to us by the public. This is a response to public wishes to establish this. I don't have any questions about what's in here. I think that this is pretty on point for everything that I had envisioned for it, and I think that what the public had envisioned for it as far as its purpose, the powers, and then the duration. It also accounts for where did it go? It accounts for the golf course committee having stake in the future of the golf course and a direct impact for it. It's in here somewhere, I swear to God, I just saw it. As far as having it go out to RFP and having a direct link for that RFP versus city running it. I'm still eyeballing it in here because I lost it really bad. But other than that, I just want to say thank you guys for this. I don't have any questions about it. I think this looks really good. And I hope to hear more people's input in council.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I heard the audience participation tonight, and I do think this is a case of trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube, but I think this is a good first step. We made a lot of mistakes along the road. I think this gives 3 city residents and 2 at-large members who are passionate about Palmer Golf Course, trying to save it and keep it at the jewel that it's been for 35 years, a chance to have input, a chance to speak with the Director of Community Development and the golf course superintendent at monthly meetings, and to try to make sure things are moving forward. Because sometimes it's just as a council member, I mean, 35 emails a week, you can only respond to so many things from the community, and don't have time when you have a full-time job to track down community development director and the golf course superintendent and other things. So I appreciate the work that Councilmember Graham's put into this and the work that's gone forward to creating this draft. I think it looks like something to at least give a shot to, and see if, if this doesn't play itself out the way we hope, this is something that can be, dissolved by council in 6 months and 18 months or whenever they see fit. So I think it's, it's a shot worth trying. I think it'll give people who really have, who really care about Palmer Golf Course a chance to try to serve on the committee and try to make it better, and advise things like RFP and how we should, potentially return to, having this privately run. So I don't know the history that our city attorney brought up about the 1993 committee and the dissolving of that in 96. My guess as a person who was here is that the city couldn't run it. It just wasn't, it never penciled out. And so that probably was a part of what drove us to private golf course management in the first place. I've beat the horse to death on how a great job George Collum has done for 18 years for the city of Palmer, but I think it always deserves another kudo for him and the work that he put in for almost a generation, making sure that it was as fantastic a golf course as it has been, and I hope it will be again, even maybe this fall. So I support this, and think we should move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
So I too support this in paying attention to the golf course participants. They did ask for this. I do agree with it. I want to thank the city attorney and Benji for drafting this up for us this evening. I would like to ask the city attorney to share with us what her findings were from 1993.
The findings really were just an old ordinance. And I was not able to locate, probably because the records either don't exist anymore, or they just, if they exist, it's not in a way that I can access online. Like I'd have to go through files, which I like to do, but I just didn't have the time to last week, and I don't know where those files would be. So it was literally just a 1993 resolution available through your website that established a golf course committee. I would defer to your mayor if he has additional factual information or historical information that he can provide, because I think he might be able to flesh out some of the purpose and the scope of that committee.
So the golf course was obviously just getting started, and the city wasn't quite sure how to run this. So they got this, and that's, so if you read this, they got this committee together to come up with ways to staff the golf course, tournaments, salaries, green fees, all that kind of stuff. So they had a lot of more authority than a typical committee has today. You know, you read through here and you'll see personnel issues, of which none of our commission and our committees have that authority to do that. So that's why it was established way back then, because, you know, we did not have anything about the golf course. Nobody had any ideas about what green fees should be, and so we gave the authority to the committee to try to come up with that. And then once they established that, it was gone, I think, in 3 years. I believe that the committee was dissolved, and then obviously the city was running, then at that point was running the golf course. But so that's kind of a little bit of the history. That's why this, when you read through here, and I have some heartburn with this because of some of the things that we're talking about, you know, they may provide interim reports. You know, they have the ability to talk about the selection of who the contractor is. You know, that none of that is, you know, currently, you know, we don't even talk about, we don't have the authority to talk about personnel issues as well. So, you know, so those are some of the things that I would remove from here. I don't have a real issue with having a committee. I think that they're obviously advisory, just like the rest of our commissions and our committees, that they can come up with and talk about, you know, how to maybe make the golf course run a little bit smoother, but have nothing to do with personnel on who gets hired or what kind of fees get established and how much they are. That is not in the authority of a committee at all. So those things, I believe, you know, should be removed. And I think that this, you know, committee, it says duration will exist until dissolved by resolution of the council. I think that what we should do if we adopt this eventually is that we need to have a date in there, date specific, either the end of this year or end of December of next year, when all of our commissions, you know, typically end up at the end of the year. So I think we need to look at those issues. Let's see, you know, like say there are things that need to be removed, and the reason they were put in there because we did not have any of that existing in the past. You know, for example, make recommendations on usage of golf course concerning tournament play, including the number and type of tournaments. That's another thing that would you know, kind of go with who's this golf course superintendent and community development coordinator or director. You know, it's not a committee to make those kind of decisions. As you know, all of our commissions are you know, or just give us their recommendations only. And so that's kind of where I'm at with those. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to point out that of the powers that you brought up, they do state to make recommendations. It's not to make that decision. It doesn't give them the power to say, yep, we're red stamping or green stamping this or that. It's to make recommendations on behalf of the golfers to the people who make those actual decisions. It also very specifically states neither the committee nor the appointed member shall have any power or authority over the golf course employees whatsoever. The duties as far as interim reports and review of independent contractor candidates. That is at the invitation of the city. If it's not something that they are going to bring forward to us without that invitation as per their duties in this resolution. As far as making recommendations on the annual budget, greens, fees, and other rates of charges, that is literally just us getting additional public input on those processes at the appropriate time. I think that removing those things kind of removes the purpose of the whole committee. That's the point, is that we have a dedicated space for golfers to come forward, bring these to the directors that make these decisions in the budget, and handle those actual policy implementations on the city side. So I just wanted to point that out. That's the purpose of having the words like make recommendations at the invitation of the city, having no power or authority over the golf course employees whatsoever. Those are very, very strong legal words. And I think that they're pretty watertight as far as making sure that things aren't stepped over as far as powers go.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I wanted to also thank Councilmember Graham and Legal Department for their hard work on this. And I do think providing a forum like this for golf-specific issues makes a lot of sense. One thing that I do think is important, though, to remember in all of this is that this is not the Alaska golf course. This is not even the Mat-Su golf course. This is the Palmer Municipal Golf Course. And the people of the city of Palmer own and operate this golf course. We've heard a lot from people from Anchorage and from Wasilla and from other places over the course of the last several months. And that's all well and good, but when it comes to who's actually going to call the shots about what happens in this golf course, it ought to be the people who pay property taxes, who live in the city, who are members of the municipality, of this municipality, okay? So I think the way you've written it makes a lot of sense. It basically recommends, the way I read it anyway, that you choose 5 people that are Palmer residents. If you can't get 5, folks that are qualified, that know their golf and are qualified to participate in this group, then you can have 2 that are not Palmer residents. But I do think the way you've written this is smart, and that it puts a real priority and gives the voice to the people, frankly, that really should have it, and that's the people that own and operate this thing, and that's the people of the city of Palmer. So thank you, and well done.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Yes, ma'am, sorry.
Couple thoughts. I'm also a little concerned, I guess, that it might, even though as written, it doesn't provide the committee with power to do a lot, it does give them a power to, like, for example, inquire into and review golf course operations. So where does that stop as far as, are they going to be able to look at every piece of paperwork that comes across the superintendent's desk? Is there going to be someone over there looking over his shoulder every time he makes a decision, including rules and policies? So while they're not going to be making these decisions, they're going to be making recommendations. I think the language is broad enough that if you had people in there who wanted to make someone's life miserable, they could. So I do have some concerns about the language. I don't have specific edits right now. I don't know if we could take more time to look at it. That way also, totally unrelated, but just because I'm used to reviewing, is if we were going to put something, so there's like paragraphs A, B, C, and then like golf course instead of golf course, et cetera.
We did catch golf course.
Okay. But yeah, I am concerned that if someone wanted to just chew up someone's time by requesting every bit of information available, they could do that. And I think that would really impair someone's ability to put their time and attention into running the golf course.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am not concerned about that because I've known John Chirac for 35 years. I don't think he'd allow that kind of stuff to happen. And I do want to say that I think the make recommendations piece, I think this thing is fairly watertight. And I know it's late already in the year. I think the faster we can get this approved, the better. My personal opinion is I say well done to the folks that wrote it, and I think it's not giving a group by any means too much power. When you have words like at the invitation of the city and at the invitation of the council and make recommendations, I'm not super worried about the word inquire. I mean, I think it's just they'll be able to ask some questions. I have a feeling most of the questions will be asked at their meetings of the Director of Community Development and of the golf course superintendent. So I think the quicker we can get this thing approved, the better, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So just to address the Councilmember Collins's concern about the inquire into and review golf course operations, including rules and policies, those are already public record. So somebody can make an Alaska Public Records Act request now. This doesn't give them any additional, as far as that goes, any additional, I guess, weight behind their request than a general member of the public would have. So if somebody was going to be maliciously requesting public records, doing that kind of thing, they would do it now. It's all public record. There's nothing in here that, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't believe that there are golf course operations, rules, or policies that wouldn't fall under the Alaska Public Records Act, other than personnel policies and procedures. But even those are policies and procedures which would be allowable. That makes sense. And maybe the lawyer can elaborate on that a little bit as far as what would be allowed.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I mean, I really appreciate the feedback, and I appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion in committee of the whole, because this is exactly why I wanted to hear from all the council members. I hear your concern about inquiry, the language, inquire into and review golf course operations. I also hear your concern, Mr. Mayor, regarding some of the references to employment, personnel, et cetera. I think that you could temper some of this with some linguistic shifts, like make reasonable inquiry into and have, request review of X, Y, and Z. I believe that Council Member Graham is correct that all of these records, with the exception of, certain exceptions to the Alaska Public Records Act that I don't see to be applicable here, would be, the city would be required to produce them to individual members of the public if they were asked to produce these records. So any kind of policies that the golf course has, any kind of operations information that the golf course has, rules, things like that, you either have to produce it to the public that way, or you can have a committee review and provide it in that forum. I mean, so we could, I'm happy to go back to the drafting board, make sure that it's not the golf course, because I did catch that right before I walked into the city chambers today, and I was like, the one word, it always happens, there's always at least one word. To go back and to take the benefit of your input and your feedback to make this even more specific and more focused, because I do think that the concerns you raise are legitimate, yes, could a committee of, could it potentially be, a disruptive process that, could be like weaponized against the golf course? Maybe, but I would hope that the people that were on the committee were there to provide information in good faith and provide support and guidance in the way that the resolution, and that the committee anticipates. I think that what everybody on the council recognizes, and I imagine a number of the members of the public recognize, is that you don't always agree on how to achieve certain outcomes, but the process of sitting through these meetings and sitting on committees and getting to agreement through discussion and discourse is part of the point. And I think that this provides the opportunity and the avenue to do that. So like I said, I would be happy to take this back and rework it to address some of the concerns, but to also maintain, the intent and the purpose of having this citizen constituted advisory body for you, Or, you know, I'm happy if you pass it today. I think either way, you know, I think that it will provide you and members of the public with a good avenue to address these concerns, and, you know, to do it in a way that helps to effectuate the effective and efficient management of your government and your resources.
Yes, sir.
Should there be any consideration of a vetting process laid out in this? Or, for example, I want to be on the advisory committee, obviously not in this role. And do I just submit a name, a resume, a packet? Is that something, is what I'm asking, that should be established, included in there maybe? Because I believe the appointment of said committee members, that's due at the council.
No.
That will not be.
I appoint.
So just
I
you.
appoint. So
Okay.
a resume comes.
And then council approves.
Yeah, and then they approve. So a resume comes in.
Okay.
You know, and I look at it and, you know, kind of vet it at that point, and then, you know, make the decision whether or not they should be on the committee or not. I do that to all the boards.
Certainly. Again, I just didn't know if that was something that we may want to outline maybe. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there to, you've had some of the discussion of, and I would hope the character of the individuals applying, that's not the intent. I don't see that disrupt. But anyways, my 2 cents on validating applicants.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is already in municipal code for the mayor to do, that you do bring up a very good point, but this is also a subcommittee, from my understanding, underneath Parks and Rec. Is that correct?
No.
This is,
will be
so
it.
should we add, because this is not, all of the other advisory committees or commissions are already outlined in municipal code. Should we look at that ordinance and direct this to be added to that section?
That is what this is. So this resolution adds it to city code.
Let's change the code.
Okay, so
we'd
this-
have
But
to
it
have an
doesn't-
ordinance to change the code then.
Yeah, we would have to change the code.
Right, once we,
But it adds it in as a
if we
resolution.
got approved, then we
Right.
have to have an ordinance to add
Right.
and change the code.
So to clarify, you are not amending your code
Right.
by adopting this resolution. You are just creating a committee. If you want to amend your code to incorporate this advisory committee into the code, you would do that by adopting an ordinance. At this point, I mean, you, the council, have the authority to create whatever kind of special advisory committee you want. Doesn't have to go into your code. You can have a committee on the parking lot. You can have a committee advisory on, you know, which McDonald's provides the best ice cream sundae. I mean, you can do whatever kind of advisory committee you want to do. If you want to incorporate it into your code after a certain period of time, you have the option to do that by ordinance. But you don't have to have it be a subcommittee of an existing department or an existing board. You have a pretty significant amount of discretion and latitude to do what you want to do when it comes to the establishment of these special advisory committees under your code. And so that's what this resolution sets forth.
Thank you.
So one more question.
Yes,
So for the duration, Mr. Mayor, you had mentioned we should put a date in there. Should this not exceed January of '27? Is
Yeah.
January 31st, 2027?
I mean, that's something that the council can, you know, decide once it gets next meeting.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just another, I'm talking about, I have some concerns about the language. I guess another specific example is there's the make the recommendations concerning, this is D, powers D, making recommendations on the usage of the golf course concerning tournament play, including the number and types of tournaments and other public recreational uses. Like, you know, I'm in the practice of envisioning worst case scenarios and how do we prevent those. But so like this, so would the superintendent of the golf course be required to provide information to the committee each time someone engaged in conversation with him about a potential tournament, or if there was a date change, or if there was, you know, there's all these, the little details of running an operation that worst case scenario, I think a committee could take advantage of the language here and make that very difficult for someone to do successfully. So I'd make a motion to return this.
You can't do it.
Well, you can't take
You
any
can't
action
do
while we're
anything.
in
Sorry.
roll. No, you're good.
It's
easy to forget.
Yes. Sorry, and I had one other thought, though, that might have escaped me. Oh, I did want to say, I mean, of course, I would hope that, yeah, anyone on the committee has the best interests of the golf course in mind and would expect that. But like I said, it's the worst case scenarios that we want to try to avoid if possible. And I think we can do that by tightening up the language just a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
So one last thing before I go to attempt to make a motion to exit committee of the whole. I think that your concerns are definitely valid as far as like, what is the worst case scenario on this? However, at some point, we have to provide trust in the public that they brought this forward. They said, we want to do this. They have said they want to make the golf course successful. If it fails because the committee does take action, doesn't take action, something gets or makes recommendations and gums up the works as you're suggesting, at what point is that us not trusting the public to do what they've said they want to do, which is make the golf course successful? I guess this is my last, my last gasp on this before somebody makes a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick response to that.
Yes.
Which I appreciate that, but I think also how much trust we put in the people that we're hiring and allowing them to do their job. And those are the two things I think we need to balance.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have ultimate faith in our mayor to vet any ne'er-do-wells that may want to be on a committee, but I also don't think we should handcuff ourselves with a definitive date of this thing going away. I actually like the language that allows it to be dissolved by resolution of the council instead of putting a December 31st, 2027 date or a January 31st, 2027 date or any date in there. I think if things do go off the rails, being able to have that language that says the committee will exist until dissolved by the resolution of the council actually helps us. So other than spelling errors and numerical errors in this thing, I think the way it's written is something we should try to proceed with. I do think that the make recommendations part is going to keep people from overstepping. I think the ability of them just to do things at the invitation of council, at the invitation of the city. I like to think the glass is always half full, and I do think that people will respect it. And if they want to be on the committee, you know very well, Mr. Mayor, sometimes it's hard to find people to serve on a committee. I mean, they have to meet once a month, get paid $50, and they're, everybody's busy and has, kids in soccer and softball and other things. They may not want to do it at all. So I think finding 5 folks that are going to serve and helping, I think it's going to help the Director of Community Development and the new golf course superintendent try to, have more people that understand golf and have a passion for golf to bounce things off of. So I'm very happy with the way it's written, and I hope we can move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to exit committee of the whole.
Second.
Madam Clerk,
Hold on.
I can do it. No.
I'm sorry, who made the motion and seconded it?
I made the motion.
Now Cantrell.
Thank you. I have too many pieces of paper in front of me. Did you want me to take a vote?
Please.
Councilmember Collins, this is just to exit the committee of the whole.
Yes.
Councilmember Allen,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
and Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Unanimous, we're out of committee of the whole.
Thank you. I would like to just let people reminder that this is a draft. And I would recommend that if you have any suggestions that you would like to have things changed, that you can, you know, provide those suggested changes to the city clerk prior to next meeting. And so, because this is a draft, we can't do anything about this. We have to move it on to the next meeting after, you know, we'll get the city clerk and the attorney with the suggested changes before it comes back to us. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I think it's a question. I'm going to raise my voice at the end so it sounds like one. So with what you just said, as far as this going through, can we set a date, or can the clerk set a date for when recommendations should be made to you to get it on the next city council thing under the appropriate section that I can't find in all of my paper right now, under new business?
Yes, so packet release is June 18th.
Sorry.
Is June 18th. So we would need to give it enough time to get to me and the attorney, and for the attorney to make the changes, and for me to get it in the packet.
1 week from today.
Pretty much.
One
yeah.
week from
1 week from
today.
today.
Yep.
Okay.
The 21st. Or whatever.
No,
Sorry.
No. No.
I can't add either. 16th. Sorry, 16th, 1 week from today. Wow. It's a long time.
And I can send an email tomorrow, just to remind everybody.
Anything else? All right, I would like to take a few-minute break before we go into our next evolution, please. I guess I could have just got